This is an important moment that millions of Americans have been waiting for. Congress has now passed a new bill connected to Social Security, and it includes provisions that could mean extra money for certain beneficiaries as early as this month. For many older adults living on fixed incomes, even a small change can make a meaningful difference. Today, we are going to walk through exactly what this development means, why lawmakers say it was necessary, how it could affect monthly checks, and what seniors should be watching for in the coming weeks. If you rely on Social Security, supplemental security income, disability benefits, or survivor payments, this update deserves your full attention because it touches directly on financial stability, budgeting, and peace of mind. Over the past several years, the financial pressure on retirees has steadily increased. Prices for groceries, housing, prescription medications, utilities, and transportation have all moved higher. Many seniors have shared that their monthly checks simply do not stretch as far as they once did. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have heard these concerns repeatedly in town halls, letters, and policy meetings. While debates about federal spending are often complex and sometimes contentious, one issue tends to bring widespread agreement. Older Americans deserve financial predictability after decades of contributing to the system. The newly passed bill was shaped by months of negotiation. Legislators examined economic data, inflation patterns, healthcare costs, and long-term projections for retirement security. One of the central goals was to provide near-term relief without disrupting the long-term structure of Social Security. Policymakers understand that sudden or poorly designed changes can create confusion. So much of the conversation focused on clarity, stability, and targeted support. At its core, this legislation addresses two major concerns that have been dominating conversations among retirees. First is the challenge of keeping benefits aligned with real-world expenses. Second is the need to respond quickly when financial conditions shift faster than expected. While annual adjustments already exist to help benefits keep pace with inflation, there are moments when lawmakers believe additional action is justified. According to supporters of the bill, this is one of those moments. So, what exactly does it mean when we say Congress has passed a Social Security bill with an extra payment? In simple terms, the legislation authorizes a supplemental financial boost designed to reach qualifying beneficiaries without requiring a complicated application process. The emphasis is on efficiency. Officials want payments to move through the existing infrastructure so that seniors do not face unnecessary paperwork or delays. For many retirees, the idea of an extra payment immediately raises practical questions. How much could it be? When might it arrive? Will it affect regular monthly benefits? And perhaps most importantly, who qualifies? While administrative agencies will ultimately handle the technical rollout, lawmakers have already provided guidance intended to prevent misunderstandings. One reassuring element of this update is that regular Social Security payments are not being replaced or reduced. The extra payment is structured as an addition rather than a substitution. That distinction matters because beneficiaries depend heavily on predictable deposit schedules. Financial planners often remind retirees that consistency is one of the most valuable features of Social Security. It allows households to budget with confidence. To understand why this bill gained momentum, it helps to step back and look at the broader economic picture. Even when inflation begins to cool after a period of rapid increases, prices rarely return to their previous levels. Instead, they stabilize at a higher baseline. This means that many seniors continue to feel the effects long after headlines stop focusing on inflation. Lawmakers cited this reality repeatedly during discussions, noting that retirees often have fewer opportunities to increase their income compared to working-age adults. Healthcare costs played a particularly important role in shaping the bill. Medical spending tends to rise with age, and unexpected expenses can quickly disrupt even the most careful financial plan. Policymakers heard from retirees who described delaying procedures, stretching medications, or cutting back on essentials simply to stay within budget. Those stories helped reinforce the urgency behind the legislation. Another factor driving support was the recognition that Social Security is not just a government program. For millions, it is the foundation of retirement income. Some households rely on it for the majority of their monthly resources. When purchasing power weakens, the consequences ripple through daily life, affecting nutrition, housing choices, and overall well-being. Supporters of the bill framed it as both practical and preventative. By providing additional funds, they argue the government may help seniors avoid deeper financial hardship later. Preventative policy is often less visible than emergency action, but it can be equally important. Let's talk about timing because that is often the first concern people have after hearing news like this. While agencies must still coordinate the distribution process, the goal behind the legislation is to move quickly. Officials understand that financial relief is most helpful when it arrives without prolonged uncertainty. The expectation is that the existing payment system will be used wherever possible, allowing funds to flow through familiar channels. If you currently receive your benefits through direct deposit, the extra payment would typically follow that same path. For those who receive paper checks, the process should mirror the established method as well. Consistency reduces confusion, and reducing confusion is a major priority whenever millions of payments are involved. It is also important to recognize that whenever a new payment is announced, misinformation can spread rapidly. Experts are already reminding beneficiaries to remain cautious about unsolicited calls, emails, or messages claiming to help unlock benefits faster. In most cases, legitimate payments tied to federal programs do not require sudden enrollment or fees. Remaining patient and informed is often the best protection against scams. Now, let's focus on eligibility in a broader sense. While final administrative details always matter, lawmakers designed this measure with the intent of reaching those who depend most heavily on Social Security income. That includes many retirees, individuals receiving disability benefits, and survivors who rely on monthly support after the loss of a spouse. Policymakers frequently emphasize that these groups often have limited flexibility when prices rise. There is also a psychological dimension to updates like this that is sometimes overlooked. Financial uncertainty can create stress that affects sleep, health, and overall quality of life. Even the anticipation of additional support can bring a sense of relief. Researchers who study retirement consistently note that predictability is closely linked to emotional well-being. For years, experts have encouraged retirees to build emergency savings when possible. Yet they also acknowledge that not everyone has been able to do so, especially those who faced medical challenges, job disruptions, or caregiving responsibilities earlier in life. Supplemental payments can serve as a temporary cushion, helping households manage unexpected costs without turning to high-interest debt. Another reason this bill drew attention is that it reflects an evolving conversation about retirement security in America. Demographic trends show that the population is aging, and longer life expectancy means benefits often need to stretch further than in previous generations. Policymakers are increasingly aware that retirement is not a short phase, but a substantial chapter of life. The passage of this legislation also highlights the ongoing importance of Social Security as a national commitment. Since its creation, the program has been built on the idea that workers contribute during their careers and receive support later. Moments like this reinforce that principle by showing responsiveness to changing conditions. Of course, whenever Congress passes a bill involving federal spending, questions about sustainability naturally arise. Supporters argue that targeted measures can coexist with long-term planning. Critics often call for continued evaluation to ensure the program remains strong for future retirees. These debates are part of the policy process, but what matters most right now for beneficiaries is understanding how the immediate changes may affect them. Financial advisors often recommend using unexpected funds thoughtfully. While every household is different, many experts suggest prioritizing essential expenses first. Covering overdue bills, replenishing savings, or addressing healthcare needs can strengthen financial resilience. Even modest adjustments can have lasting benefits. There is also something deeply reassuring about knowing that policymakers are paying attention to the lived experiences of retirees. Government programs can sometimes feel distant or abstract, but legislation like this emerges from real conversations about daily challenges. When leaders talk about protecting dignity in retirement, they are acknowledging that financial stability is closely tied to independence. Some retirees may wonder whether this extra payment signals broader reforms ahead. While no single bill can solve every challenge, it does reflect momentum in the ongoing effort to adapt policies to modern realities. Economies change, healthcare evolves, and living costs shift. Programs must respond accordingly. As the implementation phase begins, communication will be critical. Agencies typically work to provide clear updates so beneficiaries know what to expect. Staying informed through official announcements can help prevent unnecessary worry. Remember that large payment operations require coordination, and a careful rollout often protects accuracy. For couples who both receive benefits, the extra payment could offer additional flexibility within the household budget. For single retirees, it may provide breathing room that allows them to focus less on financial strain and more on daily living. While the impact will vary, the intention behind the measure is straightforward: strengthen financial footing during a time when many feel stretched. It is worth noting that policy decisions often involve balancing urgency with responsibility. Acting too slowly can leave people struggling, while acting too quickly without planning can create administrative complications. Lawmakers repeatedly describe this bill as an attempt to strike that balance. In conversations leading up to the vote, many officials emphasized respect for those who built the country through decades of work. That message resonates strongly with older Americans who want reassurance that their contributions are recognized. Retirement should be a period marked by stability rather than constant financial anxiety. As we continue through this discussion, remember that the passage of a bill is only the beginning of the process. Implementation transforms legislation into real-world results. Agencies must align systems, confirm eligibility data, and coordinate payment schedules. While that work happens largely behind the scenes, it is essential for ensuring funds arrive correctly. Perhaps one of the most encouraging aspects of this development is the reminder that policy can evolve. Programs created generations ago are not frozen in time. They can be updated to reflect new economic landscapes and emerging needs. For now, the key takeaway is simple yet meaningful. Congress has acted, and the focus is on delivering additional financial support to Social Security beneficiaries. In a world where economic headlines can sometimes feel unsettling, moments of concrete action carry weight. Whenever financial legislation makes headlines, there is often a wave of speculation about what it might signal for the future. Some analysts view this bill as part of a broader recognition that retirement policy must continue evolving. Economic landscapes change, and programs must adapt to remain effective. Still, experts caution against assuming that one measure answers every question about long-term solvency or benefit design. Instead, they encourage viewing it as one step within an ongoing process. Policy is rarely a single event. It is more often a series of adjustments shaped by data, experience, and public feedback. For retirees, the practical focus remains clear. Understanding how to use additional funds wisely can enhance their impact. Many advisors suggest approaching unexpected income with intention. Addressing essential needs first can create stability that lasts beyond the moment the payment arrives. Some households may choose to replenish savings that were previously tapped for emergencies. Others might use the funds to reduce outstanding balances, making future budgets more manageable. Even small improvements can build resilience against future uncertainty. There is also emotional value in feeling seen by the institutions designed to support older Americans. When legislation acknowledges real-world challenges, it reinforces the idea that retirees are not navigating economic shifts alone. That reassurance carries weight far beyond the dollar amount involved. The passage of this bill also highlights something important about Social Security itself. For generations, it has functioned as a promise, a shared commitment that those who contribute during their working years will have a measure of protection later in life. Updates like this demonstrate that the promise is not static. It can respond when circumstances call for attention. Many policymakers have described the measure as both practical and respectful. Practical because it addresses immediate financial strain, and respectful because it recognizes the lifelong efforts of those who depend on the program today. As the rollout moves forward, communication will remain essential. Clear guidance helps beneficiaries know what to expect and reduces unnecessary concern. While large-scale payment operations naturally involve coordination, the intention is to deliver support as smoothly as possible. For couples planning their monthly finances, the extra payment may open room for adjustments that were previously postponed. For individuals living alone, it might provide reassurance that essential expenses can be met without constant recalculation. Each household situation is unique, yet the underlying goal is shared stability. It is also helpful to keep perspective during moments like this. Financial policy often unfolds gradually, with each decision contributing to a larger framework of retirement security. While headlines focus on immediate developments, the deeper story is about sustaining a system that millions rely upon. Looking ahead, conversations about Social Security will undoubtedly continue. Questions about funding, demographics, and benefit adequacy are part of responsible governance. Yet the passage of this bill offers a reminder that action is possible when the need becomes clear. For many retirees, what matters most is not the political process, but the practical outcome. Knowing that help is on the way and that their financial reality has been acknowledged. Stability brings freedom, freedom to focus on health, family, community, and the everyday moments that define a meaningful retirement. As you reflect on everything we have discussed, the central message becomes unmistakable. Congress has taken a step intended to reinforce financial security for Social Security beneficiaries, authorizing additional support during a period when many households feel stretched. The extra payment is not just about numbers. It represents responsiveness to the voices and experiences of older Americans. And perhaps that is the most important takeaway of all. Retirement should not be dominated by uncertainty. It should be a chapter marked by dignity, predictability, and the confidence that the system you contributed to is prepared to support you when it matters most. So remember what this update represents. It is a sign that policymakers are paying attention to the economic realities facing seniors. It is a reminder that Social Security continues to evolve alongside the nation it serves. And it is an example of how targeted action can help strengthen the financial foundation that so many depend on. Stay attentive to official communications as the implementation progresses. Remain patient while agencies coordinate distribution and approach any additional funds with thoughtful planning. Even measured support can create meaningful breathing room, allowing households to move forward with greater assurance.
Yeah, grind mode on, can't kill my drive. Turn the pressure up, I come alive. Grind mode on, I don't fold, I don't quit. Hunger in my chest, every beat I commit. Eyes on the prize, no sleep till it's won. World in my hands when the grind mode's on. Wake up with a vision, I'm locked on the target. Turn pain into fuel, I'm a flame, I spark it. No shortcuts here, I embrace every test. Pressure on my shoulders, still I handle it best. I was made for the climb, every loss, every scar. Built me in the steel, now I shine like a star. If the road gets rough, I just double my speed. Ambition on 10, I was born to lead. Grind mode on, I don't fold, I don't quit. Hunger in my chest, every beat I commit. Eyes on the prize, no sleep till it's won. World in my hands when the grind mode's on. They said limits exist, but I shattered the frame. Every wall in my path is just fuel for the flame. Discipline heavy, but my spirit is free. I don't chase success, success chases me. I'm the storm and the calm, I'm the rise, I'm the proof. Every bar that I drop is the grind in the booth. Blood, sweat, tears, that's the code I trust. I don't wait for the crown, I earn it, I must.